gals, non-binaries, trans, everybody. Come on in, guys. Flood the stream. Tap, 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 tap the screen. All right. How's everybody doing? I know it's been a minute. I've been doing some projects behind the scene, writing some stuff down, manifesting some amazing stuff. And how's everybody doing? Come in, say hello, introduce yourself. Would love to know more about who's here. Okay, so what I'm gonna do though is we're gonna talk about Raheem. What up? What up? What up? How you doing, my brother? How's life? Update me. Yeah, guys, when you're coming in, just tap that screen, tap that screen, tap that screen. That helps flood people and say, hey, this is important. So if you tap that screen, update me, man. Give me some emojis. Give me some awareness of what you're up to. How have you been manifesting? Anything awesome? I'm just kind of letting the room warm up here. But yeah, if you double tap that screen, that'll just bring in more people. So that'll be awesome, and we'll get this conversation started. But guys, so where have I been? So I have been working behind the scenes. I'm still going to be creating new content, all of this kind of stuff. Still coaching, have been coaching. That's awesome. How do you think you've gotten? How do you think you've, where do you think you are on the journey? And by the way, this is a journey. That is like the destination, there isn't really one. It's just getting better and better and better, and realizing that every time that you, and I do have a talk for today, but realizing that every single time you manifest something, and this is what Neville says, actually Joseph Murphy as well, is that manifestation isn't just manifestation. It's a tool. It's a tool for awakening, but awakening to what? That you're God, that you are. So then, Neville always talks about how, well, there's this human habit of forgetting, so that, you start actually thinking processes, or you start thinking your boss, or you start thinking, your wife, or, your hard work, or whatever it is, or you can go the other way. If it's really bad, then you start like, oh, it's the devil, or, oh, it's evil, or people are evil, and, oh, he's just selfish, or, she's, whatever that is. We start blaming things outside of ourselves. And so Neville says there's this habitual thing, there's this habit that we get into, that we forget that we're God, and that all of this, and that consciousness is our power, and that we, that basically manifestation is not just manifestation. Manifestation isn't about getting shit, right? Hey, if you're in here, tap that screen, come in and say hello. Much love to you all. Introduce yourself, right? So Kenyan Legs, what up? Is going one here. Nice one. Kenyan Legs, I like your name, man. You know what? You can manifest healthier teeth, man. You can manifest that you don't need teeth at all. I mean, like, meaning, sorry, that you don't need to ever go to a dentist, right? I got to the point where 3D doesn't matter to me at all, and I have so much peace. Even when circumstances happen, I'm now unfazed, which is, yeah. Guys, come on in, guys. I know that joke, by the way. Guys, go ahead and tap that screen. If you're in the room, tap that screen, hit that like button. That actually gets the algorithm kind of like ramped up. So if you can just keep tapping as we're talking, that would mean a lot. Yeah, I'll thank you. I do see that. And by the way, yes, that's a very old joke, by the way. Okay. Welcome in. Introduce yourself. Who are you? What are you doing? So what we're going to do though, I'm going to share with you a quote from Neville. Okay. Oh, that's awesome, man. That's what I want for you guys. This is what I do, by the way. This is why I do what I do. So, okay. We're going to talk about a quote from Neville, right? But to understand it, we got to go back to psychology. We got to go back to neuroscience. We got to go back to all of those things, because this is what I'm not seeing in most Neville Goddard, or even Neville Goddard coaching, or even manifestation coaching, is there's not enough awareness. There's not enough awareness around what we are, what we're doing, right? It's God that became a human. But that doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with being human, right? Even in one of his lectures, Neville says, you should really learn to embrace and love being human. So when people take this manifestation stuff to heart and they start freaking out about their own thoughts and their own emotions, and dude, I've been there. I got it. I understand, right? But But when you start doing that and you get into a spiral, okay? Like when I started out doing this, true story, dude, I went to spiral for like 7 months. Hey, DD, come on in, introduce yourself. Where are you from? Tell me about you, who you are, what are you doing? What you right? You gonna fix your unibrows? I'm just kidding. Yeah, exactly. It's our conscious. Oh, well done, by the way, Pivaco. Guys, tell me where you're from. What do you do in life? You know, if you believe in manifestation, you don't believe in it. But listen, I come at this from very like I'm a social psychologist, so I'm coming at this very psychologically. So even if you don't believe in it, watch this. You're gonna be like, damn, I didn't know this about being human. So I'm actually accredited with the American Psychological Association. I got my neuroscience training from Harvard. Anthony, you're in my walls. Oh my gosh, where are you? Okay, come on out, Anthony. Come on out of the walls and hug me. All right, so guys, come on in. Guys, Anthony's in my walls, by the way. So I don't know if you meant the walls of my crotch, but you know what? It just depends. So psychology. We're gonna talk about psychology right now. To understand what Neville says, because he says, listen, to give up. So if you ever want to get what you want in life, you've got to give up your present limitations, right? But what the hell does that mean? What does that even mean? What does present limitations mean? Where do they come from? Why do we have them? Why are they there? Because if Neville's right, which I believe he is, that we have to give up our present limitations to get what we desire, what does that mean? How do we get there? What can we do? That's where the psychology comes in. So, okay, present limitations, guess what? Aren't present limitations. It's kind of like a sarcastic quote because a lot of your present limitations are based on your past experience. So Neville knows this, by the way. So when he says your present limitations, he's really saying like that's a loaded statement, by the way. So a loaded statement means, dude, he means more than what he's writing. So present limitations mean I've got to take all the shit, all the baggage, all the abuse from my parents, all of growing up in a poor neighborhood, all the baggage of having a certain race and like stereotyping, like meaning like as in society stereotyping races and society stereotyping genders. And I've got to take all of that baggage and I've got to throw it out. Now, listen, I just said that very easily. I'm not saying it's easy, right? Sort of, yeah. I mean, there's kind of that mentality, Vakro, but not exactly. Because what you don't want to do is like, for example, I know many people who lose weight without ever working out, without ever changing their diet. So that's not like, you can look at that as a general idea, but I don't want to encourage people this with the idea that you need to somehow earn your manifestation. You don't. You don't. That's BS. That's utter BS. You don't need to earn what you're manifesting. Why? Because you're always manifesting anyways. What does that even mean? Let's pull back, talk a little bit about science, because a lot of people hate the word manifestation. Okay, well then let's just talk about the psychology of this. You have beliefs about the world, right? You have beliefs about your mom, about your dad, about death, about life, about love, about sex. It really doesn't matter. You're going to live those beliefs. That's manifestation. That is manifestation. You believe certain things about yourself, about but there is an energetic field. There is some field out there that is responding to your beliefs, right? That's why manifestation is not about your thoughts. And yes, it's about your emotions to an extent, but you're using these as tools to manifest. You are not your emotions. You are not your thoughts. Problem is we get taught otherwise, right? And so then we're unpacking all of that shitty baggage and we're trying to, and guys, if you're here, tap that screen, hit that like button, share if you can, that'd be amazing. Introduce yourself. Where are you from? Who are you? Are you going to fix your unibrows? No, I don't believe in karma. In fact, karma is better understood as manifestation. And that's not even my own breakdown. It's from Alan Watts. He breaks down the Sanskrit, one of the oldest written languages ever in the world, right? And so what he says is karma, literally, and he breaks it down etymologically, which means the word origins, the breakdown, what the words mean. And he says all it is, if you were to break it down, the closest English, by the way, is not what frickin' Taylor Swift is singing about karma or Jojo Siwa. It literally means this, then that. That's it. That's it. That's the definition of karma. That's also the definition of manifestation. So your karma is really just saying whatever you believe, right, is, and I'm going to answer your question even better, Vakro, even more so, with neuroscience, is that basically what you end up with is you end up with that this, which is your beliefs, then that. You experience that, right? Oh, the world is against me. Guess what? That. You're going to experience that. Oh, the world loves me. Guess what? Then that, right? So that is ultimately what you're experiencing when you experience your karma, right? I just don't like it because in Western cosmology, even the ancient Hindu world didn't understand karma that way. So when it's saying your karmic debt, like there's a book I read about karmic debt, right? And so in the book, karmic debt is saying this: hey, you have limiting beliefs that you got from your past. You're going to live that shit, right? That's really what karmic debt is. You are owing yourself to your limiting beliefs, your limiting fears, your limiting anxieties, the crap that your parents forced upon you, all of this kind of stuff, right? And so that's ultimate. So no, I don't believe it's in our DNA. I don't believe there's anything in our DNA except divine health and divine love and divine peace. But then the problem is that we layer that. Here's the thing, and this is where I was going to answer this a little bit more deeper for you, Vakro, is that because of epigenetics, if you've never heard of epigenetics, check that shit out. It's amazing. Epigenetics is basically saying we can change our DNA. Okay, there's more to it, but we can ultimately change our DNA. Okay, and so what that means is by making better decisions, right? We can change our health. We can change our mindset. So is it in our DNA? No, I don't think any of that is in our DNA. Right? I don't think there's anything unless we accept it, right? And so whatever we accept is true is ultimately what we experience, right? Are you afraid of heights? Anybody afraid of heights here? Yeah? You gonna jump out of a plane anytime soon? No, that's your karmic debt. That's karma, right? That is you living out your beliefs. That's what karma means, okay? So it's nothing to fear. It's not gonna chase you down. If it is, that means you fear yourself, okay? So when Neville talks about your present beliefs, your present limitations, and check this out. This is amazing that he actually does this. Your present limitations and identity. That's what he says. Not just your present limitations, but your identity. Why? And this is what I specialize in. Like I told you, I'm accredited with the American Psychological Association. Okay? What that means is I have a certificate, yada, 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 from the Psychology Association of America. Okay. Why is that important? Because I study human identity, the psychology of human identity, okay? And so one of the areas that I specialize is in knowing how identity is made and broken and unbroken, okay? So, and this is why I coach. So if you're looking for coaching, definitely join the Discord. There's a free link in my bio. There's also an email if you want to ask about my coaching. I also offer payment plans to try to make it affordable for you guys. So, and there's packages there as well as individual coaching. So, like 1 hour coaching. So check that out, but let's keep going. So what I want to do is I want to talk to you about the psychology of identity, because when we come back to Neville's quote, then we'll understand it better. You've got to give up your present limitations. What he's saying is you got some past shit. You got some past ghosts. You got some past fears, anxieties, beliefs about the world that has now become your present. Let me make sense of that. You grow up in a family where your parents are always fighting about money. Guess what? Your present limitations, if you haven't changed it, is money's hard to get. Money like runs away from me. Money brings tension. Money is a limited resource. Everybody else has it except me, right? I have to work hard for my money. Whatever it is, you have crap loads of accepted beliefs that you think are true because of which feel like present limitations. So he's kind of being sarcastic because he knows that it's in your subconscious mind that you've accepted this. Welcome in, guys. If you are new, introduce yourself. Yes, 100%. Yeah, 100%. So I think every belief, yes, you can trace it back to maybe a memory, both of those, and that's where I would start. But every belief is individual. Here's the thing. And this is what we're not taught either in these manifestation circles, okay? These beliefs are separate. However, they're just like puzzle pieces. They will fit in nicely with other beliefs that look and look like them. So when Neville says you will experience the fullness of a state, that's what he's saying. Like you're going to find other beliefs that are looking like the one that you already have. Does that make sense? This is why he said your antidote to that is selective hearing. Selective hearing means I'm only going to hear the shit, or sorry, I keep saying shit, but like the good things that I want. Okay? So guys, hey, I see the room is rising. Go ahead and tap the screen. Hit that like. That actually gets the algorithm moving. Introduce yourself. Where are you from? Keep on asking questions. It's great. And so, I do think that they're separate beliefs, okay? And I think that they operate and can operate as separate beliefs. Most of the time they don't, okay? But, and it's because beliefs work like puzzle pieces. And so the main thing about these puzzle pieces is that thank you for the like, is that if you don't deal with them, then you're not dealing with your childhood, right? Because a lot of our beliefs do come from childhood. Not all of them. And some of them can come from last week, right? But most of the time when we're feeling an emotion, that emotion isn't triggered by what you just experienced. That emotion is usually triggered by a memory that usually was in your childhood, if not, maybe last week, maybe 20 weeks ago, maybe 2 years ago, right? But it's now part of your identity, okay? Oh, Velcro, you're awesome. Can I call you Velcro? You're kind of sticky. I'm kidding. That was a dad joke. I absolutely hate dad jokes, guys. I also do stand up as well. So, and rock climbing. But thank you guys for the likes. Thank you. If you're in the room, introduce yourself. Would love to hear more from you. Don't forget to click the free bio to the Discord. If you can't get to the Discord, hit me up with a message on one of my videos, or just get me on the email, and I'll make sure that you get a link. So, and that's a free community. Okay, so basically what you want to do is you want to fully grasp that, listen, your beliefs, what seem to be present limitations, which means what's happening to you right now, are all usually 99% slated in your past experience. You can usually go back to it, right? And then Neville says, there's a tendency for us to forget, right, where those memories were. That does not mean that you can't heal that. You don't need a memory to heal a limiting belief. You usually want to go to your memories. And so how do you do that? Well, most of you who know Neville, you revise the memory. You change the memory. I watched a really good clip from Matthew McConaughey. Yes, yeah, that one. And he had said, if you're dealing with an issue and you can't seem to get over it, right? And it just keeps coming up and coming up and coming up. Deny that shit ever happened. That was his quote. And I agree with him. That's what Neville means by revision. You are literally rewriting your memory. So if you grew up in a shitty household, rewrite it. Act like you actually grew up in a best household ever. Who would you be right now? Because that's going to be your present life now, right? Otherwise, you're going to still live like you're the victim. You're going to live like you're the abused. So then you're going to find people who are going to mirror that. You're going to find lovers. You're going to find friends. You're going to find strangers. Everybody who's going to treat you to prove to you that you're still the abused. Okay? And so same with money. Same with finding the person that you love. Same with anything that you want to manifest. Right? And so my challenge to you is begin challenging those beliefs. Rewrite the stories. And if you think Neville's concept of revising your memory is too woo-woo, okay, go check out neuroplasticity. Okay, and yes, I'm dropping neuroscience bombs today because people love to doubt manifestation, because people think of manifestation and they think of candles and burning sage and woo-woo and crystal balls and palm reading. That's not manifestation. In fact, this is going to sound very judgmental. I would encourage you not to do any of those things. If you've done them, if you want to, great. But you don't need those things. You are manifesting, not those things, right? You are always manifesting. You're manifesting today, tomorrow, last week, everything. Why? Because it's beliefs. Manifestation is your beliefs. What you are accepting is true. How do you make new ones? Well, you use a good, strong memory, because that's what you're doing. You create a scene from the first person, doing one single action. You repeat that action over and over with a strong emotion. What are you doing? You're making new memories. You're full on making new memories. Whether it's a new one that you're creating out of the blue right now, based on your current beliefs, or whether it's one that you're trying to revise or change your past experience, which changes your present, right? Because if you do all of this, then you're going to change your present limitations, okay? But notice what he says here. It's your present limitations and your identity. Why does he say that? Because Basically, if you look up the research, the neuroscience research of identity, because a lot of people think, well, this is just who I am. Well, that's who my dad is. He's never going to change. Yeah, but you know what? You should stick to your guns because this is who you are, right? We have all this shit, especially in the West, right? We're so hyper focused on individuality, right? And so we're like, no, you got to be the individual. I'm not against individuality. I am against the idea that you can't change. Of course you can change, right? And you should. And in fact, if you want to become a junkie, become a change junkie. Okay? Become somebody who is like, I am looking, right? So to change neural pathways, you have to learn new things. 100%. Now, that's very, very good. Because what are you learning? And this is how you overcome the present limitations, right? And identity is that you learn new things by becoming new things. Right. So, for example, I can read about becoming a mechanic. I'm not going to learn shit about how to change anything unless I do it. Right. And so that's what Neville says. And he uses the word experience. Right. And he uses the word experience a lot, not only about his own experiences, but he ultimately says you've got to become. Right. So we are human beings, not doings, yada, yada, yada. I know that's a very cliche, boring phrase, but it's so true. We're human beings. Right? And so that means you've got to become. And so that's how you learn new things. So if for you learning to become more affluent means you've got to go read a book by Tony Robbins and go help, like ask ChatGPT how to be affluent, and it gives you 15 different actions, and you go, well, then that's fine. That's fine for you. It's going to look different for everybody. Your journey, because your beliefs are guiding you. That's why I'm not against individuality, because everybody has a different experience. But don't become so... People get really, like you were talking about, Vekro, about the ego, right? People become, the ego is not your identity, okay? And I can show you the neuroscience behind that. Your ego is not your identity. You've been taught wrong if you think so. Your personality is not your identity. That's also a no. Your ego is just protecting your current idea of yourself. Okay? So it's saying, nope, you shouldn't change because everything else that looks new is seriously making me shit my pants. That's how your ego reacts to everything. Its job is to protect you. That's it. There's only one job for your ego. That is it. Don't give it any more power. Okay? So when you feel like, oh, anxiety, that's my ego saying, oh, you better not change. Oh, you better not change that experience. Right? So what were you saying? So the only source of knowledge is experience. Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm not against reading. I mean, obviously I read a lot, right? But you have to turn the reading into knowledge. And the way that you turn reading into knowledge is through experience, right? And so to become something or to become somebody else who you are no longer, you have to be that person. Now, you can manifest stuff within 10 seconds, right? I manifest Starbucks probably, I don't know, shoot. There was one time I did it for 7 days straight. Why? Because I have no limiting beliefs about it, right? And I've talked to my mentor. One of my mentors is Edward Supply Hands, right? And go check out his stuff on here as well. And so, right, Edward Art. And so we were talking about this at one point, and you know, this idea of how easy it is to accept beliefs. The reason why it's easy to accept beliefs, and this goes back to your question earlier, Raheem, is because beliefs are like puzzle pieces. They fit in so nicely. So when you start having a belief system that says, I'm the victim, guess what? Another belief that's going to sound, feel, and taste and have you hearing only things that are reinforcing it are going to fit right into it. Okay, that's again going back to what Neville said. You're going to experience the fullness of any state. That's what he's saying. You're going to feel the fullness of your belief system. And then what you're going to do is you're going to get locked into that belief system, because here's the neuroscience. You keep repeating shit over and over and over and over and over and over. And I do see what you're writing, Raheem, right? It's going to hardwire. Then you get dopamine. Dopamine, by the way, isn't just reward neurochemical. Raheem, you might know all this, because Raheem, by the way, is one of my clients, and he's awesome. And is, you know, dopamine. We always say, oh yeah, I've got dopamine. Yes, it is a feel-good neurochemical. That's not it. That's not just it. It also controls your movement. It's one of them, right? This is why people with Parkinson's have low dopamine, right? So like Michael J. Fox, he has low dopamine. Right? Because you need higher dopamine intake. Okay? So what is that saying though? Why am I telling you that? Well, when you understand the neuroscience and how it forms the identity, Okay. Oh, you're awesome. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you, Raheem. You didn't have to say that. Yeah, and go follow Raheem as well. So the only, yeah, and so is this for who they have the quote, do it afraid because the ego will tell you do not. Yes. Yeah. So, some of this is like self-helpy, right? I mean, like when you read the work or watch the work of like people like Jim Rohn, Bob Proctor, Tony Robbins, Mel Robbins, like all these people, it's very, or Oprah even, like self-helpy, very, very vibes, right? But that is what it is. When you fear something, the only way to overcome it is to overcome it. You can't sit there in fear. You have to go and be. So how do you overcome fear of being? Well, one, you have to recognize it's yours. That fear is from you. It's not from your parents. Yes, they might have done stuff that has helped hardwired stuff, but now 20 years on, that's you rehearsing all that shit, right? And then you're giving them and the old story power, okay? And so, yeah, Stephen Hawking's was awesome as well. Yeah, I actually read his stuff as well. And see, I don't see science and manifestation as enemies. I see them as one and the same. They're just talking about different things, right? So I've studied quantum theory for a long time. And I will eventually do something on quantum theory. I just want to make sure that I am very educated in this area before I do, because there's a lot of BS out in the manifestation world, right? Like attract like. That's not in quantum theory, guys. So I get what they're saying. I get why they say it, but it's so misinformed. And so, yeah. So let me go back to his question. Thank you. Yeah. So that's why you have to overcome. But remember, he says to overcome, because this is your gateway. This is your gateway to getting your desires, to manifesting. Okay, your present limitations. That means they're gonna feel so real. They're gonna feel like they're true. They're gonna feel like they're impossible. They're gonna feel like they're part of your identity. This is why he says that, right? You have to overcome the present limitations and identity. That means you've got dopamine. You've got rewarded for this. But you not only have that, the dopamine tells you how to act physically with your body. So you are literally playing the role of the person who's the victim, who's the poor person, who is angry at the government, angry at a president, angry at your church, angry at your mother, angry. Those are all roles you are playing, okay? Those are all labels you've accepted as true, okay? And so, this is why, for example, I haven't watched the news in like a year and a half, right? And no judgment if you do. There's no, that's a me thing. I don't want to. I'm not interested, right? And I used to be very, very much into it all the time. Why? Because one, I used to be a journalist, and I know that I was paid to go spin information. I don't care what side of the political aisle you're on, it's spun. That's it. And that's not even me claiming politics, okay? I'm trying to show you that you must protect your mind, that you need to be very, very protective, okay? And that is not fear. That is not fear. But yes, you can manifest stuff quickly, but then all the bigger stuff, that takes time. Even Neville's mentor, Abdullah, said, people don't realize that some of this stuff can take a very, very long time. People don't want to hear that in the manifestation world. They want to hear quick. Why? Because Western mindset is, hey, I'm going to drive through McDonald's and I'm going to get my shit and I'm going to drive out in less than 7 minutes. That's not the same as manifestation, guys. Yes, you can manifest stuff in 7 minutes. Yes, you can manifest stuff in 10 seconds. I've done it, right? But usually with the bigger stuff that has to do with identity, that tends to take time. One, that's also good for you to know, because so you don't shit your pants trying to be like, why is this not happening? Why is it taking so long? Well, no. Just enjoy the journey. Enjoy the journey, right? And that's why I stopped watching YouTubers. I had to persist for months to start seeing changes. Yeah, and I mean, like, and by the way, I'm not saying go be a hermit. Stop watching it forever. Just do it until you get to where you want to be. Get where you want to go, and then go ahead and introduce stuff if you feel like it. Like, I may never be one to like full on like with news ever again. No, exactly. So listen, I was there as well. So I mean, I totally get that. Like, I totally get that there is like pressure thinking, right? Because you do see videos, manifest this thing in 3 hours, manifest this thing and manifest your SP in like 2 days, right? Whatever. No, No, because what you're doing is you're building a limiting belief. You've already in that video said that there's a time. So then for those people that are time oriented, that's going to F them over. They're going to be like, what? That's going to screw them over. We all are different. So that might work for maybe less than a handful of people, right? But we have to understand and accept the fact, right, that some issues are bigger than others for people. But so to get there, yes, but identity change, right? So, okay. So for example, I know that I can go and manifest a drink today, but that's because my identity is I manifest drinks easily. Like it just comes to me easily. It's always something that I do effortlessly. And I can say that to you knowing that full well I believe all of that. But if I'm sitting here trying to manifest something that has to do with a limitation from my childhood, think about this. You've hardwired an identity for 20 years. Yeah. To try to expect that that's going to fix in 2 days? No. Nuh-uh. It isn't. And most of the time it won't. Can you fix issues that quick from your childhood? Yes, you can. But all of them? Most likely not. I mean, you even hear Neville's lectures, and he's even talking about some childhood stuff. Why? Because he was human. The dude was human. He'd play pranks on people at the movie theaters, right? So we need to stop like turning him into a messiah. He said, don't do that, because then you make me into a god. But then the spoken word, which says affects the direction we go in life. Now, see, I partially agree with that, because I can say I like the power of the spoken word is I believe in pink elephants. If I don't believe that, then the power of the spoken word doesn't matter. And Neville says this as well. He goes, words don't manifest. And so what he's saying, though, is that your identity does. So this is identity-based manifesting. That's what differs my coaching from others. We focus on identity other than like getting shit. Because you have to, now, I'm not against that, and I want you to get all of it. But what I'm saying is that to get that stuff, you got to be in a certain identity, right? And so, that's why he puts not just present limitations. He's giving you the key. He's like saying present limitations and identity. Why? Because present limitations lead to the identity. Your beliefs, we've always been taught the other way around. Identity leads to your beliefs. No, it doesn't. Your beliefs form your identity. And I can show you scientific research that shows that to be true, and probably over 100 of them. Okay? We've been taught that identity, who I am, is how I form my beliefs. No. You've been lied to in school. You've been lied to by college psychologists. It is not true. Okay? Neuroscience, right? Right? And so basically what I would like to blah blah blah. So yeah. So basically okay, yeah. So yes, the word can be used, like you have to think of yourself, like identity, and this is a great metaphor, right? Like a clay statue, without any form. Every time you choose an emotion and a thought, those are tools. Those are the chisels. So you can use them to form beliefs, but they are not who you are, right? And so basically what is happening is that you are using your thoughts and your emotions as forms to form your identity. And that's how you basically begin the process of forming a new identity, right? And so that is one tool in how you do this, okay, is that you begin. Does that make sense, Vacro? Thank you for all of the emojis, by the way, because that actually helps the algorithm, so I really appreciate that. So keep on doing those, please. And what is it? Yeah, so Vacro, does that make sense? Like, essentially, you are forming an identity with your words. But your words, this is how it works. You use the words and the emotions to form the identity, then those identity will begin forming your words. Right? And so what you begin doing is you begin listening to yourself. You begin listening because that's where your identity is now. So Neville calls that a state, right? So Neville refers to it as a state, which is really just a body of beliefs with a perceptive lens. Okay? Perceptive lens means the way I see the world. Okay? So bodies of beliefs are fueled by your perceptive lenses. And the other way around. There's a dance between the two, right? Are you with me, or is this too heady now? Make sure that you understand, like everybody understands what I'm saying. Feel free to ask questions. I really, really appreciate that, guys. So yeah. Are you with me? Yeah, gotcha. Okay. So when you, let me just get like think of an example, okay? So when you have a belief, okay, the world is great, okay? The world is amazing, okay? Those are just words. But then you start reacting as if the world is great. So then now you have a body, literally a physical body, okay? That believes that the world is great. You're going to make choices based on and predicated on and birthed out of, yes, I am. And I'll talk to you about that in a second. Is you are then only reacting from that. So what's going to happen is over time, you're going to start forming beliefs that are going to support that belief that the world is a great place. Okay. So then now everybody around you starts looking at you as a person who thinks is pretty positive, right? And so then now you formed an identity. Okay. But then what's going to happen is because you believe that, all of your words now will reflect that. So do you see the relationship between the two? Like, there isn't one versus the other. It's that they're always in relationship to one another. So if there's a state or a belief that you're having a hard time trying to figure out what you really believe about it, watch how you talk about that thing. Watch how you're like, oh, it's so hard to get somebody to love me, right? Or it's so hard, right? It's so hard to get money, or it's so hard to get a car. It's so hard to get my mom to hug me. Like, whatever it is, well, that's telling you right there what state you're in. Not just what state, though, your identity. So then you now formed a self-concept. This is why a lot of people and this is where I actually agree with a lot of the Neville Goddard community, where they say self-concept is key, because it is. Self-concept is just another word for identity. Who you think you are is what will come out of your mouth, right? Even the Bible says that, right? From the heart, which really, by the way, the actual Hebrew word for heart is mind. But when it says from the heart will spring words of life or death. Okay. And so what that is saying is you're going to either say shit that's going to really lift you up, or you're going to say shit that's going to bring you down. And that's not coming from your mom 20 years ago. That's not coming from, your boss and him mistreating you and saying all of that. Rebecca, how are you? Welcome in, welcome in, welcome in. Yes, yeah, I do hope to be going a little bit more regularly, Rebecca. How have you been? How's life? How are the 12 kids? I'm kidding. Come on in. Yes, yeah, Vacro. And so, there's that test, right, where they actually test the words and how it either creates diamonds or like dark and it changes the color of the water. The words, though, aren't. It's the emotional power behind those words. So if I were to say that there's a language of the gods or God or whatever source or inner self or whatever you want to say, love, right? It is these two things stuck together. It is image and emotion. Image and emotion. Why? Well, that's why Neville says you need to create scenes from the first person. And that seems to actually speak to the language of this source within you, right? And so I like the word hieroglyphics. That's awesome. Oh, you're awesome, Rebecca. What have you been manifesting? Feel free to share if it's not too personal. We're just talking about identity, and then also Neville's quote about, we must give up our present limitations and identity to actually get what we desire. That's his quote, right? And remember, he says we must. And again, I'm not saying he's some biblical God. I'm just saying that when he puts urgency behind it, there is. Because if you're still holding on to limiting beliefs and you're trying to manifest something, but you're like, these beliefs feel like home. And I get it. I totally get it. But these beliefs feel like home and they feel normal to me. So I'm going to hold on to these beliefs and then I'm going to manifest. So one of two things is going to happen. Either your whole path to getting it is going to be very shitty, right? And you might end up losing it anyways when you get it. Or if you actually do the deep work, right? You can just get it. Like, so why would you want to put yourself, so like I've seen people even in Neville communities who are like, well, I kind of like drama. So I always try to manifest from the first person something going wrong and then I get it. And I'm like, why would you do that? Like, one is your self-concept is I need to have either earn it, like I need to earn it, or like basically the world is bad. So for me to actually get anything I want, something bad has to happen first. That's very warped thinking, right? Now, Neville does say, for example, you can use frustration, you can use annoyance, if that's where that you feel like you could use that as a way. And he shares a story where a guy got annoyed about dried paint being on his wall from the first person. He touched it. Why? Because he didn't have money at that point, and he wanted to repaint the walls in his house, right? And so he did 2 scenes that were from being annoyed. But these were being annoyed with the implication of him having his desire. Well, how so? Well, he had no money. Well, I mean, he did have money, but he didn't have enough for repainting his house and doing some refurb. Okay? So what he does is he creates a scene from the first person. And one scene is him touching the wall on the paint and seeing the painters outside, right? And so he's like frustrated because he doesn't have his own privacy yet. And then he's touched like wet paint on a wall, which is proven that they've been in the house and they've already finished painting, right? And so both of those are implying he already has his desire. Okay, are you with me so far? Another one was that he imagined that he got the money to pay the painters to get there. So that was the first scene. So the first scene was him standing in line at a bank to cash a check, but he was frustrated doing it, right? And he did it from the first person. And so that is basically what was going on, right? Is that he used frustration, but the frustration implied that he already had what he wanted, if that makes sense. And so, you can use any emotions that you guys want to get what you desire. Does that help at all? And back to your question, yes, I've heard of EMDR. You can use it as long as you use it to get what you desire. I wouldn't rely on it. But let me end the stream with a couple of tips. Okay, 1, write down and go do research on who you want to become. Like full on, like use ChatGPT, use anything, right? Or if you look up to somebody, what qualities do they have? Write out 10 qualities. And I mean, when I say qualities, I don't mean that they're good and nice. Be very detailed. Like, hey, they seem to make decisions about money and they're always investing. So maybe I should look to invest. Even if you can only invest $1 in something, go invest in it, right? And, find ways in which you start to embody the characteristics of the person that you want. Like Raheem, you said that's been huge for you, right? Kind of like doing the whole actors thing where you become the person you take on. Even Neville talked about that. And even talked about how Marilyn Monroe would even talk about how basically she herself talked about turning it on. Like meaning becoming Marilyn Monroe, because she was Norma Jean, right? So, but she's like, no, this is the character that I play. And so you begin creating that person from the first person. And so you're always now saying things, believing things, emoting, right? Feeling things from that first person perspective. And so that's what I would encourage you to do. The second part is to begin working on any limiting beliefs. If you can, begin working on limiting beliefs today. Take a memory a day. A memory a day. Use an app like Notion or some note app where you write down what the memory was, what the emotion was, what you felt, why you felt it, and then who you would be without it. That last part is going to be key because that's your letting go process, right? Who would I be without this? Okay, and then begin being the person without this. And then while you're doing that side by side, revise the memory. Change the memory from the first person, right? Feel it as if you were 7 or 12 or 14 and you're rehashing the memory, right? A script like an actor would memorize the entire thing and play. Yeah, I mean, that's ultimately life. That's ultimately life. Yeah, I would definitely do that. But thank you all for being here. You all are amazing. Thank you for jumping on. I do hope to do these a little bit more frequently. Don't forget to join the Discord. If you're looking for coaching, get in touch. You can also get in touch with me either with a free link to the Discord, which is free, or via my email on my bio. But good to see you, Rebecca, Raheem, and Vekro. Hit that follow if you don't follow me, Vekro. And thank you guys for being here. Much love. And thank you for your time today. All right, guys, go manifest amazing things. Oh, Bernadette, good to see you. Yes, if you guys have any questions, hit me up on one of my comments, or my email is probably going to be the best at this point, and I'd be happy to help you out. So thank you guys as well. Yes. Oh, you're going to do the group call this week? Okay. All right. Awesome. Awesome. Well, Rahimi, if you can get like 2 more people, I will definitely do it. So that would be awesome. Yeah, definitely. Would love to do that with you. All right, guys, be safe in the world. Much love, everybody. Thank you for your time today.